Welcome to the first episode of The Wrong Time. I'm Jack Meno.
I'm Eli Buto.
I'm Nate Jones.
I'm Bill Jukes.
And today, it is the wrong time to be Chris Conti because he got stiff-armed.
That's a grown man stiff-armed. He
got crushed.
He's not even the starting tight end.
And he didn't even go out of bounds. He went for 75 yards.
No, and it's not like he is the starting tight end because,
I thought Jesse James was.
Well, no, because Vance McDonald always has better hands than Jesse James, so it's kind of like a situation.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Steelers miraculously came out with that dub against the Bucs. I don't know. They survived a late game run.
Still not looking too hot, though.
They aren't looking good at all. It's bad, but
I mean, you guys are gonna trade Le'Veon Bell. You know it's gonna happen. And then once he comes back, the locker room is going to be so divided. I mean, it's awful.
That's what you.
If it already isn't.
I mean, I remember Marquise Pouncey talking about it, saying like he's putting himself before the team, and you're not going to win like that. Okay.
But with that happening, what would they give up for a player like him? Though he's great on the field, but the drama that comes.
And you
with
got him. It's basically you got to pay him after this year. It's a rental basically. So you got to have high chances for this year too. You can't be some slack team.
Yeah.
You have to have cap space. If you're going to be going after Le'Veon Bell, you got to have cap space, and he won't take anything less than like $100 billion guaranteed. Because the Steelers offered him a 5-year, $70 million deal, and he turned it down.
And it's not like
I don't think he wants to be in Pittsburgh.
That's fine. I mean, then trade him.
I don't think it's like he wants to win. He wants to be on a team where he's the sole player. Like,
so what's the Steelers?
He doesn't want to be with Antonio Brown, with Ben Roethlisberger. He wants to be the sole player.
What's the next step for the Steelers then? Do you keep Connor and get a speed back to?
I think you get Connor in free agency next year, or draft a running back out of college this year.
I mean, James Conner's looking good in all the games.
Yeah, I like him.
He sealed the deal last night against the Bucs with those 2 rushes for 30 yards last night. I mean,
yeah, I'd like a compliment to him though. I don't know if he's like a little speed back or he is looking really good there.
Yeah, he's
like a third down back kind of.
So what we have is we got James Conner and Stephen Ridley. And Stephen Ridley had a couple rushes last night, too, that weren't that bad. He's a vet back. But when it comes down to it, Le'Veon Bell's a great player that you want to have on your team.
Yeah,
but what comes with him just isn't worth it. So I think that the Steelers definitely need to get rid of him.
Would you guys consider Le'Veon a top 3 running back in the league?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But last year I would consider him a top 3 running back in the league. I haven't seen him this year. So he plays this year and he's total ass, then he's not. All right, let's move on from this.
Okay.
Browns. How do we feel about the Browns? The Browns' first win.
I love Baker.
I love
everything about him. Like, just, I mean, he says
the
he's
confidence
not,
he has.
I mean, because he's been a walk-on. He was a walk-on in college. Ends up winning the Heisman, first overall draft pick. I mean,
but here's what I want to know.
This guy is.
With how Tyrod played the first 2.5 games of the season and how Baker played in the second half, like what was Tyrod showing in the preseason and training camp that Baker wasn't, that made the coaches say that Baker will not get a single first-team rep? What was Baker not doing? What was Tyrod doing?
I don't think it's anything they were doing or not doing. I think it's just Tyrod's a vet. I mean, he's not an average. He's a little under-average quarterback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they just, I mean, and he did get the Bills to the playoffs. So I think they wanted Baker to learn from him, but
here's also
he got hurt, and Baker's. You could tell from college Baker was going to be good.
Yes.
In his last year at Oklahoma, you knew he was going. There's something special about him.
But they said that let Baker learn like Brett Favre taught Aaron Rodgers how Jimmy Garoppolo was under Tom Brady, but Tyrod Taylor is not a Brett Favre or a Tom Brady.
Yeah, I think Hugh was just trying to be stubborn and trying to plan it out, and just you got to start Baker.
He might have been just scared for his job too. Like if he ruined another quarterback's career by starting him too early, like he did with Deshaun Kaiser, then like he'd be gone like halfway through the season.
All right.
I mean, the Browns have been close in all their games too. I mean, they took
they're a kicker away from 3-0.
So
it's crazy.
Tyrod Taylor's totals. He has 462 yards out of 3 games. And Baker Mayfield came in and passed for half of that in one game.
Under 50% completion percentage, too, which is
Yeah, so Tyrod,
terrible.
while he was not a bad quarterback and he did have good games, if you have Baker come in and play the way that he did, that's a definite. You can't not play him.
And he has the whole fan base on his side.
He won in their first
when
game.
he comes in,
600.
it is electric.
Yeah,
Those fans love him.
The energy in Cleveland, like when he stepped onto the field, when Tyrod went out and he came on,
That was crazy.
when
the
he even
momentum
caught
went
that
straight to their side.
That 2-point conversion.
You knew-
catch,
you
that
knew-
was,
you knew
the
they were
momentum
done.
went straight to their side, and you
You
could
knew they were
tell
done.
that Cleveland was going to win.
I think that it's the way that Tyrod holds himself. I think that the way he walks, he's really confident in himself, and that really helps him. I mean, he passed for 201 yards, and I mean, he didn't get any touchdowns, but the Browns won the game. And
I mean,
he really
that's all
contributed
they
to it.
care about there in Cleveland.
Baker's confidence is really something that he has, and that's what a lot of people loved him during training camp, is like how he had that swagger and that confidence to lead that team.
Baker Mayfield's jersey sales prior to this game was number 39, and he raised 23 spots to number 16 after that game, which just shows that not only the Browns fan base is on his side, but the NFL is on his side.
Now the Browns play a struggling Raiders team next week. So do we see a 2-1-1?
I think we do. I think the Raiders are just god awful.
Raiders defense isn't.
I mean, they traded Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
All right.
He's the best defensive player in the league right now.
By far.
Okay, so let's move on to that.
Animal.
0-3, Jon Gruden. He was supposed to come in and he was supposed to be the savior for the Raiders. He was supposed to be the Raiders. The Raiders are going to be terrific this year. They got Derek Carr. He's healthy. They have Marshawn Lynch again.
Marshawn's old. Beast mode's
Beast mode might be on his way out, but he's still a legitimate back. I mean, you gotta.
He is. He's still beast mode, but not as
beast mode's always
beast
going to
mode
be beast
as he
mode.
was.
No, he's not the same.
What's the future for Jon Gruden for the Raiders?
I say they give him another year after this year, like they're rebuilding mode. But if they do the same thing that they've been doing like the past 3 games,
I say they go 4-12 this year.
Yeah,
I think if they don't, I say if he's not winning by
mid-season
we'll say
next year.
mid-season next year he's out.
Gruden has a 10-year, $100 million deal with the Raiders. So they jumped the gun on that one. They thought that he was going to come back and be the Jon Gruden that was coaching in 2004.
He also said, though, that if he doesn't do well, that he wouldn't take their money.
Yeah.
Which, that's risky by him, but it shows how confident he is, even though he's not off to
I mean,
a hot
we
start.
got to think it is still his first year.
Yeah.
and it's only 3 games in.
Okay.
But still, they gotta pay him Khalil Mack. Oh my
Yeah, that's
God.
There's a 30-point differential.
That is ridiculous.
Like negative 30 points for
Okay.
their pass.
So next week, the Raiders obviously play the Browns. We already mentioned that.
Browns
That's
are
a
favored
loss.
No, they're favored to win that game.
The Raiders are?
The Raiders. I just looked at it. It's like 65% to 35.
Wow.
Okay. And then the Raiders play the Chargers. And the Chargers stink. The Chargers are terrible. So that's going to be
And divisional.
that's
Division games can go anyway, no matter what.
Yeah, he needs to win at least one of those 2 next games just to get Raiders fans somewhat on his side.
Where's the
least.
game at? Is it in
which one?
It's in LA.
L.A.?
Yeah. Aren't the Raiders moving to LA? Or Las Vegas? They're moving to Las Vegas.
I think that's. I don't like that.
I don't like that either. That's.
They're all-
I think
That
you
could
got
be
to
some
stay where you
trouble.
are. That's.
They're just trying to get that's the money.
Yeah.
You can get more money in Vegas than Oakland.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's more of a popular tourist
Fan.
area.
Same
more
thing
fans
with
there.
San Diego going to Los Angeles. Like there's
Yeah, but now
more
there's 2 Los
residents.
Angeles teams. See, the Rams 2 years ago or 3 years ago moved to Los Angeles, and then the Chargers did it the next year. So there's 2 Los Angeles.
Speaking of the Rams, let's talk about them. 3-0. They're looking
They're looking nice.
good.
They're looking nice.
Jared Goff is turning into
I know. and
an elite quarterback. I mean, I
I
won't go
love
all
Sean
the way
McVay,
elite.
too. He's
Sean
so
McVay's
young.
he's a
I
very
love him.
smart
He's
guy.
up and coming. He can be big. They play the Vikings this week too.
And the Vikings.
The Vikings.
Vikings
are-
managed to get blown out by the Bills, and we can talk
Josh?
about that in a little bit.
Can we also talk about who the Rams have played though? Come on now, they've played the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Chargers.
See, that's one of the
those
things
are
we
almost three of the
can't really
jokes.
jump the gun on praising the Rams if they're playing the Raiders, who we found out are terrible. The Cardinals, who we already knew going into the season were going to be terrible with
they still
their
blew them
quarterback
out,
situation.
They still blew
They
them
blew
out.
him out, but I'm not. They look really good, and I love Sean McVay, but I'm not jumping the gun just yet.
I can see them
They have
starting
Todd
out here.
Gurley,
No,
too.
I love them, but I'm not jumping the gun to where some people are jumping the gun to.
I can
with
see
their
him going
Super
5-0.
Bowl
I'm
NFC
not there
championship.
yet.
I can see him going 5-0 up till the Broncos game when the Broncos give him a little bit of a.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers,
A little bit of a push.
obviously with Garoppolo, they're looking
They're
tough.
not gonna-
Seahawks got their first win, and the Cardinals, that's their division. That's-
say they're in the playoffs. They get like a 1 or 2 seed because they do good in the regular
Oh, yeah.
season. If they play Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers all day. I know what Aaron Rodgers does. I mean, he's done it to the Cowboys. He just
Aaron Rodgers,
he's magical.
he's the best
The
quarterback in the
Hail Mary.
NFL. He
Aaron
was going to
Rodgers.
be the best quarterback of all time.
I take Rodgers over Brady.
It
honestly.
depends
And
on the
obviously now,
situation
too.
for me. It depends on the situation
I don't
for
know.
me.
Now, though, Tom Brady, he's 1-2. The Patriots aren't good anymore. Like they lost their.
It's been 3 games.
I'm not.
It's
I'm.
still- the
I'm
season's
gonna go with
still
the
early.
confidence. I'm gonna go with confidence that the Patriots won't be that good this year. Who did they just lose to?
Lions.
Exactly, the Lions.
They got blown up by
They
the
got
Jets.
What is
Sam
your
Darnold.
definition of not good for the Patriots? Like what record?
If
what are you
Tom,
talking about?
I'm thinking if they go anywhere from 11-5 down, the Patriots are that's going to be classified as not good. The Patriots are averaging a 14-2 season. They go to the Super Bowl every year. If Tom Brady's passing for 135 yards and an interception every game, they're going to be terrible. That's their whole team right there is Tom Brady.
I mean, their division, they still have the Jets. I mean, they look
The Dolphins
pretty
are
rough.
3-0.
The Dolphins are 3-0,
But I mean,
the
it's
Dolphins-
early, and come on, you know the Patriots are still going to end up winning that. That division is so weak.
It
I
is
mean, the
extremely-
Dolphins, they beat the Jets, they beat the Titans, and they've beaten the Raiders. So
Yeah.
same thing. I'm
The
not.
Patriots play the
I don't
Dolphins
know.
next week, and the Dolphins are hot right now, but they're 3-0. But
New
How long do you think
England.
the Dolphins are going to?
Yeah, I mean,
though?
it's the Dolphins. Are you
I'm
So-
going this week. Is it? I
this week
think
is definitely it.
Patriots are. They're looking rough, but I think they get a big one this week.
Yeah, Tom Brady, I mean, he's been around the block. He knows how to turn things around. Bill Belichick's the greatest coach in NFL history.
Yeah, I mean it's really 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 hard to argue with that. I love Sean McVay though, up and coming.
He'll be good. Speaking of coaches, I think the Cowboys have to fire Jason Garrett.
Really?
He's
got a legacy.
His clapping is so bad.
Yeah.
They can throw an interception, and he's just clapping it up on the sideline.
Yeah, how about them right now? How about them boys? What's going on, Bill?
I know when a quarterback throws an interception, it goes on their like stat sheet. It's their fault. But those interceptions, they're not entirely his fault. I mean, Jarwin, he sucks. Last week he missed the onside kick and the Giants recovered it. He's not good. We don't have a tight end. Our receivers, we have Cole Beasley as a number 1 receiver right now. He's not a number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
He's a slot guy. We shouldn't have let Dez go. Our receivers can't get open, and our offensive line doesn't have that long. Dak was on his back, I think, 5 or 6 times. Like, if you want to win, you can't do that. Also, we got to give Zeke the ball. 16 carries, 127 yards. Give him the ball 25 times a game. Seattle's running back had 32 rushes. Are you kidding me?
And you're gonna rely on Dak Prescott like that, and he's just not performing. It's like,
I mean, the Cowboys are averaging just over 13 points per game.
Our offense is not good.
And that's not going to cut
And then
it.
we were talking about how good our defense is going to be this week. No. Sean Lee, the glass man, injured again for a couple weeks with a stupid hamstring. Like, come on, dude. Just stay healthy.
But you guys got the Lions, who coming off of a good victory against the Patriots, but they also, it's not like they've been doing amazing this season.
Neither have the Cowboys. I mean, We need to give Zeke the ball more. It's simple as that.
So you guys,
It's
the Cowboys play the Lions and then the Texans. The Texans aren't that good. Deshaun Watson's kind of going through a little sophomore slump here after tearing his ACL last year.
Had a decent game last week, though.
Do you see that block he had? Oh, man.
No, I did not.
He lit someone up. I don't know who it was. It was on ESPN. I saw him. He lowered his shoulder and just lit somebody up.
But after that slow start week 1, the Lions seem to have gotten it together. I don't know.
I mean, they did
My
lose.
bad,
They
like
did
a
lose to
one-game
the
thing,
Jets.
but-
Yeah.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and his first
Blown out.
His
start
first 2
ever.
weeks weren't good for the Lions. But if you're going to beat the Patriots by 18 points, that's
It's impressive.
I think it helps that their head coach was the former Patriots offensive coach and Matt Patricia.
He was defensive coach.
Oh. I mean, still, he knows their schemes.
Yeah, so that probably did help, but I don't see I really honestly think that the Lions might have gotten it together, but I don't see them going very far this year. Just because of, they suck.
Yeah.
All right, Drew Brees versus Matt Ryan.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Dude, he is just.
Like, Drew Brees had a ridiculous
week 1.
game.
Let's go back to week
so did
1.
Matt Ryan.
When Matt Ryan missed
They
Julio
both
Jones.
had
What was it? It was like
Crazy games.
what was the total thing against for like him targeting
Julio in the
Julio
red zone. I think it
zone?
was like 2 for 20 or something.
Yeah, it was.
It's
in like the past 2 years. Like
It was atrocious.
it's if Julio is like a top 3 receiver in the league, as some people say, then and Matt Ryan is that good, he's gotta make that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving
I mean-
Drew Brees right now.
So,
Did you see his spin move?
Oh, that was so
Oh.
nice.
so this season, Drew Brees has 1,087 yards and 8 touchdowns.
How many
And
picks?
No picks. So, and his pass rating is 122.2.
I don't understand.
I mean, when you throw that many times and you have no interceptions, that's
And
That's
then
incredible.
Matt Ryan is 897 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 picks. So right now it's looking like Drew Brees is probably the better quarterback, and especially from that performance that he had against them, he was an absolute monster. 396 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns.
yeah. I mean, he led that team. I'd argue that if out of all NFL teams, if you take one guy out of one team and they do way worse, it'd be Drew Brees out of New Orleans. Because I think he's such a leader too. He's a great quarterback. He's such a leader. Some games he'll have not as many passing stats, but he'll run the game plan, and he plays so well and smart.
I think that although Drew Brees played a great game, Matt Ryan's stats was 374 yards and 5 touchdowns with no interceptions. So it was a shootout. That game was a shootout. And
Where was the
Calvin
defense?
Ridley helped too.
Both teams
Calvin-
do not have great defenses.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saints got torched by the Bucs week 1. And Bucs are looking good, but they got
Fitzmagic.
now the Bucs were looking good, but let's talk about that terrible, terrible first half from Fitzpatrick and what's left with Fitzpatrick's run in Tampa Bay as a starter. What happens? Jameis Winston comes back today.
Jameis Winston comes back, but I think Fitzpatrick you can't take Fitzpatrick.
I think
out.
you should. I'm losing some magic. I don't know. I'm
He's the
losing
first
some.
quarterback
If he starts to
history.
do worse and worse, then yes, take him out. But right now,
Okay.
three straight 400-yard games.
No
Listen.
NFL quarterback has done that. Like that, and that's ridiculous.
Ryan
He led
Fitzpatrick's
them back too.
Ryan Fitzpatrick's stats through 3 games: 1,230 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Now that's ridiculous, but he had just an absolutely horrific first half against the terrible Steelers defense. The Steelers secondary is the worst in the NFL, arguably, and he threw 3 picks in the first half.
Yeah.
But then he didn't throw another pick after that.
But here's my thing with Fitzpatrick.
He let him back.
He does this. He did this before. He did this where he just plays. He plays really good, and then when the season goes on, he gets worse and worse.
2011, he started 3-0. He had 4 touchdowns in the first game with no interceptions, and then they were about 500 going into week 9. After week 9 hit, they had a 7-game losing streak, and I feel like the Magic's running low.
2011 was his peak for the Bills. So
Yeah, he played, and a lot of those stats were first few games, and then I think it was week 9 through week 15. He played terrible, and he
But
didn't
obviously,
lead them
start
at
him
all.
over Jameis right
yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, for now.
I hate Jameis
I think you have
Winston.
to.
I never liked Jameis Winston. I thought he was just a scumbag in college. He had that whole scandal with the
He
steering.
stole
stealing-
crab legs.
I know, and you're like,
what are
And,
you doing, man?
Not to be a pro athlete, and you're stealing
he was
crab
groping that
legs.
Uber driver. I mean, come on, get your crap straight, man.
Yeah, I don't like him at all.
That's awful.
Yeah.
All right, Bills Vikings.
Ooh. I think
I think
the Vikings played down to their opponent.
I think that the Bills came out of nowhere and just shocked the Vikings.
No one thought the Bills were going to win.
No.
I don't
way.
think you could walk up to an analysis guy and be like, "Who's winning this?" and he would say the Bills because nobody.
The Bills-
I had the Bills
not
going
only the Bills,
1-15
but the Bills
this
by
year.
3 touchdowns.
And it was
Yeah.
like it was a beating too.
beatdown, yeah.
They were crushing them.
Yeah.
First half. Now the second half, the Vikings managed to shut them down. Nah,
But
but
they couldn't do anything on offense. And Dalvin Cook was out, but
Kirk Cousins also did not have much time, little time at all. If he did, his receivers weren't getting open.
Yeah, Bill's just Josh Allen. I mean, that leap was insane. He was just electric. And this is what the Bills fans needed. They needed to stay in the year and just to give Allen some hope. And he made a couple big plays that kind of hyped the fan base up and kept them in this.
yeah, he came out of nowhere too. Well, with the stupid decision by the Bills to start Nathan Peterman first week, I could have been the head coach of the Bills and made a better call than that.
Nathan
I would have
Peterman
started a bar of Irish Spring soap over Nathan Peterman.
I think it's the same thing with
The Browns.
I'm not
So
saying
bad.
that Nathan Peterman's as good as Tyrod. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's as good as Baker Mayfield. I'm saying that they were the same thing where he was scared that Josh Allen would start and he would ruin his career
Yeah.
by starting him too early.
Yeah, he was trying to again be stubborn and not force it. And
Yeah.
try to play it out to show.
Now, why would you not start him though? If you have a guy like Nathan Peterman who last year threw 11 interceptions or whatever, or 5, whatever, my bad, and he throws 5 interceptions in one game in one half. And you're going to start him over your rookie quarterback that you
My
drafted in
thing-
the first
my
round so
thing-
he can get experience?
No, here's
like,
my-
he's
here's
not
my
going to
thing.
get good experience from Nathan
He's
Peterman.
gonna
Why
learn
did
how
you
to
trade
throw 5
AJ McCarron?
interceptions.
Yeah, that you pick
Why
up
would
AJ
you
McCarron.
trade
Love-
Nathan?
yeah.
Why wouldn't you trade Nathan Peterman? Why would you keep Peterman and get rid of McCarron?
That's so dumb.
It was a questionable move. AJ McCarron's unproven though. Like nobody knows what he can do because he gets drafted to a Bengals team who has Andy Dalton. He was like the number 1 quarterback coming out of college from Alabama.
He sits behind Dalton for what, 4 years?
It's been a long time he's been behind Dalton.
Goes up to Buffalo, starting quarterback, gets hurt in preseason or training camp.
And then they get rid of him. Why don't you keep him and wait and see what comes from him? Where is AJ McCarron now?
I think
Raiders?
he's with the Raiders right now.
Isn't he with the Raiders?
'Cause I think they got rid of Connor Cook. I think they traded.
Yeah, he's for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. He didn't in college. He put up good stats, but he wasn't throwing like some of these guys are with like 600 yards. He's a good game manager, and he won them national championship, and he just wins games. He wouldn't put up 550 and 6 touchdowns one game, but he'd have a good rating and good completion percentage, and he'd help win games.
I mean, I don't know. I think Buffalo's stupid.
I think that
I think if you in your right mind start Nathan Peterman, then you got some real problems there. That he is so bad.
I think after the
So
Tyrod
bad.
leads them to the playoffs last year, they get rid of him. I think they get rid of him. You get rid of all your coaching staff, and you start from the ground up. You rebuild. You have to at this point. There's nothing good coming from that Bills team.
Vontae Davis quits.
Vontae Davis retired. If you're
That's-
having players
that's
retire
so
at halftime because
embarrassing.
you're so freaking bad,
I think that's the funniest thing ever. But it looks,
It's like-
it looks
just
so
think
bad
about it,
for
like-
him. I mean, dog, just wait until the game's
Yeah.
over and then retire.
At
You
halftime. That
it
is-
looks so bad.
It
for him.
shows what was going on in the locker room too, because when you're getting killed at halftime, you still want a little bit of life, even though like you're out of it. You want some positives in the second half, and
Yeah.
for him to quit, like the locker room had to be silent, and it was probably Probably a pretty bad case.
It's bad.
All right, let's move on to the NCAA. Oregon. Oregon blows the lead versus Stanford.
Oregon had the biggest choke.
My Oregon Ducks
Oh.
could have moved up so far in the AP poll. They could have been 4-0. They could have been leading the Pac-12.
Speaking of that, they moved up. They blew. I don't know. It was probably. I think it was a 24-point lead.
Yeah.
And they moved
24-7 or
up. They
something
moved
like
up
that.
one in the AP. They were 20 and now they're 19.
And it was at home.
How does that even happen?
Because-
It was at home in a great environment.
How does that? How do you not drop from the rankings after that?
Because you performed so well against the number 7 team in the country.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced on Stanford until this week either with Notre Dame. I mean, they
Because
played,
if you're going to be losing to Oregon, who's totally unproven, they have a guy who's never been a head coach in his life, you're going to be losing by 17 points to Oregon, and you barely managed to come back off of a lucky fumble. I mean, Stanford's very unproven.
yeah, I don't know if I like Stanford yet. They beat USC, which I guess at the time was a big win, but USC is
not
looking
good.
so bad.
USC is
JT
not
Daniels
good.
and they only beat. I mean, Texas dominated USC in that game, and Stanford won by 14, and it was comfortable, but it wasn't a dominant game like Texas had against USC.
Their biggest test of the season is going to be this week.
Oh, no
Notre
doubt.
Dame.
At Notre Dame too.
In Notre
And
Dame?
at night.
That is a guaranteed. I'm going to say it right now. I guarantee you Stanford loses this game.
No, they're gonna win.
The only
No way.
I think Notre Dame
I
wins.
say they win by 10 points.
The only reason I'm not guaranteeing it is because of Notre Dame's quarterback switch.
Yeah.
He looks
Yeah.
so good, but I can't say that I'm confident.
Yeah.
And if they beat Notre Dame, they have Washington for the Pac-12. And Washington's 11th in the country. So what are you going to do about?
And I mean, Washington plays BYU this week, and BYU just beat number 6 Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is what I love about college football.
Yeah, you get this every single week.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Oregon plays number 24 Cal this week. And that's going to be a game for them.
Yeah. I mean, and you never know. And a couple weeks later, something could come out of nowhere, like Old Dominion and Virginia Tech.
That was
An
0-3 team
crazy.
too. It was an
And
0-3.
now-
they got killed by Liberty.
You have Oregon. You have Mario Cristobal, their head coach. He's 0-1 against ranked teams now. You got to come back this week. I mean, you're playing California. When's the last time that California was a legitimate team? Up until this year.
Probably back when they had Aaron Rodgers, like a while back ago. I don't like Mario Cristobal. Like, a lot of people are going to blame it on that young running back for fumbling that, and I get that. But at the same time, I would knee that. If you knee it, you
That
put the
is
ball
not,
back
yes,
with
and
like 3
I totally
seconds
agree
left.
with you. You knee it there. If I'm Mario Cristobal, I'm taking a knee, I'm making them use their timeouts. Their last timeout, and then I'm kneeing the ball out. I knee it out. Then they can't do anything about it if you knee it out.
I blame that on Mario Cristobal.
That should have
That
definitely
was
been an
bad.
Oregon win, but oh well.
That would have been a good win for them, too.
It would have been a huge
yeah.
win. They would have gone up
They
to
would
at
have
least 15.
skyrocketed in the
Oh, yeah.
AP poll.
Now let's talk about that AP poll. Ohio State, like they're looking
Let's
nice.
talk about Ohio State, Penn State
the
right
game of the
now. The
week.
game of the week.
I think I'm going to have
I'm
to.
taking Penn State.
I'm
in this
taking Penn
one.
State.
Just
I
because.
mean, I love Penn State, but
here's-
their defense has looked. They couldn't stop Illinois' running attack in the first half.
here's what I-
They have Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins.
Penn State is a second half team. They were up 7 at the half versus Pitt. They won by over 40 without letting Pitt score.
they're losing to Illinois.
They shut out Kent State in the second half. They were up 4 at the half, won by 39 to Illinois. So 7 points total allowed in the second half in the past 3 games.
Okay, yeah.
They need to keep it close to Ohio State in the first half. They're not a first half team, and we know that. And
If
they
they-
didn't play anyone like Ohio State.
If
So-
they're not a first half team, they could get blown out in the
Exactly.
first
They
half.
have
That's why they
Urban's
if they
gonna
want
be
they're not
ready.
gonna-
Urban is prepared. He has been waiting for
And their
this moment.
quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, he is insane
He's
this
ridiculous.
year.
He's
Yeah.
been crazy.
He's top 3 in Heisman right now. Let me read you off his stats. He has 1,194 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
And he's played like one half of football almost every game except for TCU because
He
they've been
is
destroying.
lights out. if Penn State plays like how they have been, they're not going to come
They
back
need-
in the
Penn
second
State
half.
needs
They're
to
going to be
keep it
down
close.
by
Penn
28.
State has to keep it close.
Yeah,
in
the
first
crowd
half, in
will
the first
thrive
half.
if they keep it close. They need to keep the crowd in it.
Where are they
And
at?
They're at Penn State, and it's going
Which
to be a fun
that would be a plus for Penn State easily because
Oh yeah,
Their stadium is probably-
it's going to be the
it's pretty hard to
whiteout.
play.
Game day's coming to town. It should be a fun one. And Penn State, they haven't used their backup quarterback Tommy Stevens yet, and he's been a little dinged up, but they've been saving him for this moment. They're gonna not to start. I'm not saying he's starting, but they're gonna give him. I hope they give him a bunch of packages, because with Trace in at the same time, I think that it would work really well.
Mhm.
Have you
Explain.
seen him in the past?
Explain.
Have you seen
Explain.
it? All right, in the
Oh,
red
I've seen
zone,
this.
they would put Tommy Stevens in at running back, Trace McSorley at quarterback, and Saquon on the other side of Trace. You could do so many things out of that. You could run the triple option. You could throw to Tommy out of the backfield. I think Tommy had 2 receiving touchdowns last year in the red zone. He is a red zone threat, even though he's the backup quarterback. He is huge. I love Tommy. I think he's going to be a big key in this game, even though he's not going to be the only quarterback on the field at all. I'm just watch the game and you'll see how the two
I
quarterback
think
system.
that's going to definitely help with Nick Bosa out.
Oh yeah,
One of the best defensive players in the country. He's out at least until November with the.
That's at
hamstring.
least, too. That's major knee surgery that he had.
it was ab.
Yeah, it was abdominal surgery.
He had knee.
No, it was
No,
abdominal.
He definitely had.
I'll bet
I
money
definitely
on
saw
it
that
right
on
now.
ESPN.
I'll bet money on it
Yeah,
right
he had
now.
abdominal surgery. That's why he went out in TCU.
But
I know Logan told me that he had abdominal surgery.
yeah, he did. But
yeah,
Ohio
he's been
State's
playing for
defense, they
Patriots.
make a lot of plays too. Like
I think-
Draymond Jones, their defensive tackle, he had a pick 6 on the shovel pass.
I love big man touchdowns.
Yeah, he broke a couple tackles too to get into it. But yeah, Nick Bosa being out would be huge. I I don't trust Penn State's defense yet. They're young, they're quick, and they have a lot of skill, but they're not very smart. Like you'll see them track down and make good tackles, but then they'll take the wrong angle on the next play and get burned. So they're good players, but they're not as smart yet because they're young. Like Micah Parsons. If you watch when they played Appalachian State had a kick return for a touchdown, and Micah Parsons took a terrible lane to get to him, and he was gone, in a terrible angle.
Can we real quick talk about our upsets that we think would happen for the week?
You start then.
What?
You start.
Syracuse is going to get Clemson again.
I think it's at Clemson, and I don't know, because last year Clemson might have been overlooking, and last year was on a Friday night, which I think was a big part of it. They didn't have as long to prepare. They were kind of overlooking the game. It was kind of like a Penn State-Illinois situation, except obviously Penn State pulled away, and Syracuse was better than Illinois last year. But I think Clemson, they're not going to overlook it this year.
I don't know. I mean,
Trevor Lawrence is starting, by the way.
Yeah,
I think
Yes,
that
I
will
did
give them
see
a
that.
spark, and I think that will give the crowd a spark too.
That's
I can't see Clemson losing this game.
I mean they're that valid. They're not. I think it's gonna be close, but I don't think they're gonna lose.
I think they might keep it close for the first half.
What about Pitt and UCF?
I can't see that. Pitt looked terrible against North Carolina.
Yeah.
And
I
they looked even worse against Penn State.
Not in the first half. I mean, Pitt played a great first half game, and then they just got destroyed.
I mean, they did not look good against North Carolina. Their special teams is terrible. Kenny Pickett, who people were really hyped up on this year. I don't know. All right. How about UNC Miami? I don't love Miami yet. Miami's still ranked 16 in the country, though.
UNC can beat.
UNC coming off a big win against Pitt. I think Miami's overlooking it.
I think Miami's got this.
I don't think Miami has the talent.
It's a night game. It is at Miami, which is the tough one.
I don't think North
It's on a
Carolina.
Thursday. I don't
think North Carolina has the talent as Miami.
Guess who Miami plays next week? Florida State.
They're gonna.
It doesn't matter. They're hyped up against Florida State because they cannot wait to blow Florida State out. And they're thinking about, I cannot wait to beat Florida State and destroy them. But you got UNC on a Thursday.
which gives them more time to prepare for Florida State.
Yeah, and I think they'll take care of business against Florida State. But I think UNC looked awful in the first couple weeks. They looked decent against a pretty bad Pitt team. But I don't know. I just have a good feeling about UNC
Northwestern
against Miami.
and Michigan.
I think Michigan's going to win.
Michigan's
Shea
rolling right
Patterson
now.
is looking really nice.
I think that after a bad start for Michigan, I think that they're going to be good this year. See, that Notre Dame game also, that wasn't all Shea Patterson's fault. Now, it was mostly Shea Patterson's fault, but I think that he's definitely gotten way better as time has gone on.
Yeah. I'm still not sold on him, though. It depends what Harbaugh does with him. In the first week, they tried to play to him where they did a lot of spread offense, and it didn't work because everybody that he's recruited is for a power offense except for Shea. And last week and the week before, they went to more of a power running game. I think only a few times they had 4 wide receivers on the field, and it worked. They did a lot of play action passes, and I think that's what they need to do. They can't just play to Shea. They need to play to their whole team and let Shea learn the system.
Yeah. How about Willie Taggart at FSU? Willie Taggart leaves Oregon to go to his dream job. He does very well with Oregon while Justin Herbert was healthy. He leaves, and he's now 1-2 at Florida State.
Florida State is so bad right
Their,
now.
their offensive line can't hold a block. Their offensive line is just so bad. They're not giving Francois any time at all. And Francois, a lot of people are hating on him, but he has no time because, their offensive, they're just so bad.
Florida State's really not good. Tua? How do we feel about Tua? Tua's a front runner for the Heisman. I think that he.
I like him a lot.
Deservedly too.
I think he has a great chance of winning the Heisman.
I like him a lot, but you got to feel for Jalen Hurts too.
Yeah, you're going to be starting quarterback for Alabama for your whole career, and you're going to go down in the bowl game and have Tua.
He got him to 2 national championships. I think he's only lost 2 games ever as a starter there. And they take that job from him and give it to Tua. I mean,
that was, and it's not that Tua doesn't deserve it, but Tua's a freshman or a sophomore now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Let Jalen start his last year.
You gotta win.
Jalen's
a junior.
I think he should have transferred.
I think he should transfer this year.
I think
play senior year.
I don't know what Nick Saban's gonna do because there's that new redshirt rule where they're allowed to play in 4 games and still be redshirted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's played in 3 so far already. So he could save him for an Auburn or LSU matchup where he gives them a couple packages like he did against Louisville. But I think if Jalen's going to transfer, he won't play in more than 4 games this year.
Yeah.
And I think
so he can sit out.
And I think that he does transfer this year. I mean, there's no reason that he should stay in Alabama if Tua's going to be the starter.
What if Tua leaves?
Tua's not going to leave.
Nobody's been talking about Tua in the NFL. You're saying Tua's staying all 4 years.
Yeah.
Period. Why?
I'm saying Tua's staying at least 1 more year.
What if he wins the Heisman?
I think if he wins this year.
What if he goes undefeated, wins the national championship, wins the Heisman, and is looking insane? You still think he stays?
I think that he goes.
Doesn't he have to stay?
No, he's a sophomore.
It depends where his draft stock is. I mean, if it's
redshirt sophomore?
If it's like
straight up
early first round, you go.
It's like either a redshirt sophomore or a.
No, dude, you just have to stay 1 year.
I think you can be.
You have to play 2 years. You can't transfer after freshman.
Tua declares for the draft this year after this hypothetical situation that you've given me. He'll be a top 5 quarterback. But as of right now, I don't think that he's going to go after this year.
So maybe that's why Jalen's trying to stick around, though.
I think it all depends on where his draft stock is. If it's early first round, you go and get that money.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you stay in college.
So maybe Jalen knows something that we don't, and he thinks Tua's going to leave. And if Jalen could play anywhere, he'd want to play at Alabama. And if he can't play at Alabama, then he's going to stay. Yeah, and he will.
And that's all the time that we have for this week's episode. Join us next week when we have Joe Prano, co-host of the Dirty Sports Podcast for Barstool, joining us. I'm Jack Meno.
I'm Eli Buto.
I'm Nate Jones.
I'm Bill Jukes.
And this has been The Wrong Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video and follow us on Twitter @_thewrongtime.